In this next demo, I'm going to show you the power that Visual Studio and the Visual Studio family of editors brings to the Node.js world. First, I'll run through the installation of Visual Studio Community and the plugin that enables strong Node.js support. It's called the Node.js Tools for Visual Studio. We'll do a little tour of the functionality that this tooling offers you and how it makes working on Node.js projects more awesome. Then we're going to look at the installation and basic use of Visual Studio Code. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and open Visual Studio Community Edition's website for you, and that is at visualstudio.com. And you see some basic selections here. Over on the right, this new option, Visual Studio Code. But on the left, you see that we've got download Visual Studio Community. Visual Studio Community has some terms of service whereby if you're not an enterprise using it for enterprise purposes, you're an enthusiast, a student, a small team, whatever, you can read the terms of service. You get to download it for free. So you just go ahead and click on download here. It's a really easy installation, should be basic. There are a lot of options in the install for the basic kind of development that you want to do, but do know that this community edition is somewhat on par with the professional edition, if you're familiar with that from the past, and it offers you the ability to do lots of different languages, lots of different technologies and stuff inside of Visual Studio. So it's very powerful. So go ahead and download that and install it. You do have the option of installing the 2015 edition, which is the latest and is in RC as of this recording, or the last version, which is 2013. Now, if you install the 2015, because it's in RC, you're actually getting the Ultimate edition of that. That's what they release whenever they're still in RC. So go ahead and download and install Visual Studio. The next thing that you're going to need is from GitHub, and it's under Microsoft's repositories, and it's the repository called Node.js Tools. And if you go there and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the releases, and if you're using Visual Studio 2015 RC, then you want to go ahead and get the NTVS, that's the Node Tools for Visual Studio 1.1 beta. So it is ready for 2015 RC. I'm using it and it appears stable. If you're using 2013, I would maybe suggest still going ahead and getting the 1.1 beta since it's quite stable. But the stable version is 1.0, does not work on 2015. So this would be something where you click on that and then go ahead and download that and install it. And now let's have a little bit of a tour of what exactly that is going to give you. So I'll open Visual Studio for you. Now, Visual Studio is an extremely robust development suite. I'm going to assume that you've got some familiarity with it. You may or may not, but we won't be able to cover too much of it. But I just want to show you the Node functionality in it. I'm going to go to File, New, Project. And because I installed the Node Tools for Visual Studio, I have this option in here under JavaScript, under Node.js, to automatically create a number of different projects based on Node.js. You can see that I can do everything from an Azure Cloud Service to a basic console application to an Express application using Express 3 or 4. And I can either just get an empty Express application, one that looks something like this, to an Express application that's a starter app. So you actually get a full website, and you can start from there and make your website look the way you want. We're just going to start with a console application here. I'll put it in my junk directory and launch that. And there are a lot of other things that the Node Tools for Visual Studio gives you. One of those is the ability to get some IntelliSense help in here. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the file system. This is a core module to Node, and it's just called FS. Now notice that when I start typing this, I get IntelliSense even right here into FS, and it's describing this for me, saying file IO is provided by simple wrappers and so on and so forth. So that's giving me a lot of help into the bringing in of modules. So super helpful there. And besides that, when I start to use the module FS, I hit dot and it's going to enumerate all those methods inside. That's just absolutely tremendous. The camel casing is supported, so if I type AF, I get the append file and append file async because of the camel casing. I also get value of for some reason, I'm not sure. But I'm going to do append file, and then when I open the parentheses, I get parameter support into here. So that's obviously very robust and dynamic, such that if I write my own function adding together 3 variables, let's just go ahead and complete this, A and B and C. There we go. I've got a nice little function there. And if I call sum, it's going to give me visibility into what those functions are. If they have proper // commenting built in, then it's going to give you the robust parameter options and descriptions as well. So very handy stuff here in the Node tools for Visual Studio. Besides the stuff that I just mentioned, you get all of the other stuff that Visual Studio gives you, things like the ability to search quite easily throughout the project or throughout your entire solution. In fact, one of the other advantages is the fact that this project can itself live inside of a solution with other related projects. Oftentimes you don't get that in a less robust IDE. You also get a test explorer, so all your tests, whether they're running on Jasmine or Mocha or whatever, can be run inside the test explorer inside of Visual Studio. You have full deployment support for Azure, so it's very easy to just right-click Publish your project and deploy that to Azure. And one of my favorite features, you get remote debugging. So you get the ability to go into the debugger, attach to process, and in this attachment process you can say I'm interested in Node.js remote debugging, and in here you can just put the TCP address of that endpoint on your machine, on your Node process, whether that's local or remote, and attach directly to it. So that's pretty exciting to be able to debug an IoT device and step through and watch the device react with every step of your debugger tools. All right, now one of the great things that's built into Visual Studio 2015, it's an add-on to 2013, but it's built right into 2015, is the Task Runner Explorer. And I'm going to go to the other windows in here and look for the Task Runner Explorer. And you'll see that this Task Runner Explorer is going to open up some events, 4 events in the build process in Visual Studio: before the build, after the build, while I do a project clean, and when I do a project open. And then this is going to be able to look into a gulp file or a grunt file and pull out the tasks in those 2 very popular task runners and enumerate those tasks on the left here and allow me to tie them up. We're not going to drill into that right now, but that's a pretty huge feature of this tooling. Another one is the Node.js immediate window or interactive window that allows me to go just type Node.js commands, including npm commands using a dot in front of it, from right here inside of Visual Studio. So if I want to do an npm install or whatever, that works. It's ready for me. Now that's Visual Studio Community. Let's go ahead and close that down now, and let's jump back out to our command line. And you saw me do this in the last one, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. Let's just maximize this window. And you saw that I executed code looking at a certain file. Here's the app.js. And actually what you saw me do was execute code pointing to a certain directory. But watch this. I'm going to type code and then app.js and launch that. And I'll get my instance of Visual Studio Code popping up with that file in well under 2 seconds. That's really valuable to me right there, just being able to bring that up so quickly. And besides being able to bring up the file, I can bring up the entire project by simply launching code pointing to the current directory. So now code runs, and it comes up with that directory loaded with a reference to the directory and all of the files within. Very, very handy. Now, Visual Studio Code is a free version of Visual Studio that's cross-platform, so it's ready to run on Windows, Mac, and Linux, all 3. That's excellent. And it has full Git support, as you can see here. It has a full debugger, and it has a lot of first-class support for Node.js. It's one of the frameworks that it's targeting. It's targeting Node.js and the new ASP.NET 5. So extremely helpful coding environment Visual Studio Code is. Hopefully you'll look at both of these versions of Visual Studio and find the one that's right for you and the kind of development that you do.